Yankees are in trouble. They're starting pitching. They don't have any other than Garrett Cole. And now they're going to rely on Jordan Montgomery, who's been spotty at best. And because of, I believe, the finagling, as Al said, of what they did in Game 2 at the beginning of the game. It's ridiculous, actually. And when you think of everything that has gone into this Yankee season, the shortened season and all that other stuff, and you think about how healthy their lineup is and how great Giancarlo Stanton is playing, just to actually waste all of this is because you have a dearth of starting pitching is mind-numbing. And that's really what's showing itself. The Rays have 3 top-end starters. The Yankees have 1. That's it. And we always talk about this every year. We go into the playoffs. It's pitching, 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 and more pitching. And they were talking about it. Brian Anderson was talking about how, it always comes down to the bullpens and all that other stuff. At the end of the day, you still need your starting pitcher. And even Morton only won 5 innings last night. You'd like to have your starting pitcher be able to go 6 or 7 innings. And then you can get to your back-end high-leverage relievers. But, yeah, you want to talk about, the bottom of the third, bases loaded. Judge gets that sac fly. Thank God at least he got that. And then it's 3-0 on Luke Voit.
Oh, he walked twice.
I know. Both of those pitches were out of the strike zone. It just goes to show you, and I don't want to sit here and blame the umpire. The umpire the night before, C.B. Buckner, was just as bad as Mike Carlson was last night. But, I don't know what you do about it. There's really nothing you can do about it.
You could do
It's his judgment. That's it.
Well, yeah, but, in the future, you could do the robot umpire for the strike zone.
I know, but this has gone on for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. And I know, as a traditionalist, I always resisted the DH in the National League, but, for years and years and years and years of history and tradition and all that other stuff. But now that we have Dom Smith and Pete Alonso for the Mets, I'd like to keep the DH because that keeps both of them on the team. But this has always been the case for many. And not only that, and we all know that in the bottom of the third, in the top of the fourth, look, to me, it looks like Adames is going to strike out. And it looks like Higashioka is going to throw out Wendell.
He did.
Mr. Wendell.
Yeah, those two things changed the entire game. There's no doubt about it. The fact that the Rays then eventually ran away with it, Chad Green just poured gasoline on the fire. Tanaka just basically didn't have it. But, yeah, those moments changed the game. Luke Voit walked twice, and then you had to strike him out, throw him out, double play that turned out into to be a walk and then a 3-run homer. That was the sequence that changed everything. But you can't sit here and be a baseball fan that has watched this for years and years and years like we have and blame the umpires last night. Yes, they contributed to that game changing in that moment, but the Yankees got beat 2 games in a row, and it's only the Yankees' fault that they got beat 2 games in a row. Even if it worked out exactly the way the Yankees wanted it to with the Luke Voit walk and then Adames striking out, I still think they would have lost this game because Tanaka didn't have it. Chad Green was next. He didn't have it. Basically, the Rays have proved in the last 2 games, even with the adversity from the umpires, on top of all of it, which doesn't help, that they're the better baseball team. They have now beat them 2 out of 3 in this series. They beat them 8 out of 10 in the regular season. They've got a better staff. They right now, as we sit here today, are the better baseball team, and there's no questioning it. None until the Yankees, if the Yankees turn around and win 2 straight in games 4 and 5, then we can have that conversation. But the Tampa Bay Rays are better than the New York Yankees,
amazing.
And they prove it over and over and over again.
Amazing to watch. It feels like watching a game that it's taking everything for the Yankees to get an out. Where Tanaka's just struggling to get an out, and where the Rays batters are in the box and they are ready to rock and roll and ready to rip away. And then conversely, you watch the Yankees in the batter's box, and you're wondering, is anybody going to get a hit? Especially when there are men on base. And it just feels like if you're a baseball fan, you watch these games, it just feels that way. It just feels like the Rays are a better team, much like when the Kansas City Royals came to play the Mets in 2015. They just schooled the Mets on all the fundamentals of baseball. Schooled them in the field, schooled them at bat, always got the key hit, always got the key sack, always hit behind the runner. Things like that is how I feel after watching these last 2 games. And I think it does. It all starts with that idiotic plan to start Garcia and then follow him up with Happ in Game 2. The whole thing starts right there. Like the big bad Yankees had to do what they tried to do in Game 2 is mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, and we don't know that Davy Garcia would have gone out there and been great, but what I think that it did was it changed the aura around the team. I really believe this. The Tampa Bay Rays, albeit that they were so good against the Yankees in the regular season, see a team coming in that had just beaten up on the Indians. They beat them up in Game 1, and they're cruising. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's hitting. They're thinking, oh, man, like we might be in trouble here. This is not the same team that we beat in the regular season. And the second that they started tinkering and messing around and playing into the Rays' hands, I could see them all saying, wow, these guys are actually scared of us still. They're actually scared of us. And they're bringing in Jay Happ in some sort of surprise, like popping out of the thing like a game of whack-a-mole, like, I'm here, it's Jay Happ. They're doing that? They're trying to adjust to us in that way? So that's what it changed. And it seemed like the Rays got their confidence from that moment on, and it hasn't stopped. I mean, they are playing. They played the last 2 games like they knew they were going to win. It was just a matter of time. That's the way they played the last 2 games, and I think that has a lot to do with the way that the Yankees handled Garcia and Happ.
Well, it just goes to show you the lack of confidence in their starting pitching. They don't have any other than Cole. That's it. And now Montgomery
should have been Tanaka. Should have been Tanaka.
Yeah, but he's lost it. No, he's at the end of his Yankee career. That's it. Yeah. Done. Over. If they don't win, we will not. I don't believe we'll see him again in a Yankee uniform.
Well, I mean, after this, I have to question it. I really thought. I was dead wrong about him. Completely dead wrong. I admit it. What I thought we were going to see was him have to step up and fill that void in a big way and be great after Garrett Cole, and then they could point to him as someone they could count on in a championship run. And then it would have been tough to let him go, and then you bring him back as a part of a veteran in a rotation that was going to be relatively young. Now, after this and after what happened in Cleveland, even though a lot of that wasn't his fault with the stopping and starting, it seems like he's done. It does. Seems like he's done.
Yeah, that's the last, that's a discussion for the offseason. Really the discussion now is, can Jordan Montgomery, do something here and try to keep this team, in it, and can they, and what is Aaron Boone going to be on the top step, waiting to, to get him, yank him out of the game? So you got Ryan Thompson going for the Rays against Jordan Montgomery, 7:10 tonight on TBS. Man, I can't even believe that we're here, especially after the Yankees, the way that they have been, offensively, and the way that Stanton is playing. It's just ridiculous.
Isn't it unbelievable that this guy wakes up and doesn't only wake up to contribute, but he's breaking records, and he has been just unbelievable. You cannot get him out. He's hitting home runs every day. He's healthy, and you feel like you're wasting it.
But I also feel like for him personally, this has been eye-opening for Yankee fans because this is the guy they thought they were getting, and when he's healthy, he can do this. He is responsible for 14 of the 18 runs scored in this series.
Yeah, it's incredible. It is everything that every Yankee fan wanted to see from Giancarlo Stanton since the second that he arrived here. Unfortunately, it's being canceled out by Aaron Judge and what he has done in the postseason so far, and especially in this series. So it's...
You could say Luke Voit, too, by the way.
Yeah, right. And Luke Voit came in, and this guy's been hobbling around, but he was hobbling around for weeks in the regular season and still being productive, and he's not being productive anymore in the postseason. So, it's... can you really blame the offense? I know that yesterday Charlie Morton was mowing them down for a good stretch, and there was really never a big threat outside of that bases-loaded situation we talked about before with the Aaron Judge sac fly, and then the Luke Voit. He walked twice, but he ended up striking out, which is a joke, or ended up getting out, not striking out. But I just, to me, it's all about the pitching. It's all about the pitching.
It always is.
Yep.
The last couple of years, they didn't have that really top-end starter. They didn't have the Garrett Cole or the Justin Verlander. They didn't have Roger Clemens, and now they go out and they get Garrett Cole to fill that position so they can get that guy, because everybody wants to have that guy. But the Paxton injury, the Severino injury, the Herman domestic violence situation, they've lost 3/5 of what they thought was going to be, their starting rotation going forward. Now, I don't know if Deivi Garcia would even be up here if it weren't for the injury situation and the lack of starting pitching for the Yankees. He'd still be pitching, at the alternate side, or if it was a real year, he'd still be pitching in the minors.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you got to remember with this 60-game season how crazy everything was. I still think he might have been up and making a start. The rotation, even with Paxton in it, is still just not enough. I mean, when you talk about the Paxton injury and saying, and he was really, really good in that Game 5 last year in the postseason, we got to remember that, against the Astros to keep their hopes alive in that series, and he outdueled Verlander, and he was awesome, and he had his moment last year. But even with that, with the way that Tanaka is pitched, that's not a championship team. You got Garrett Cole, you got James Paxton, who might be good, might not, and Masahiro Tanaka, who basically looks like he's throwing grapefruits up there.
Well, they have to win by scoring, a ton more runs.
But when you face it in a row, Blake Snell wasn't any good, but then Tyler Glasnow and Charlie Morton in that way, then you're not going to be that. That's the problem. Is when you're facing teams that go 1, 2, 3 that are a hell of a lot stronger from 2 and 3. It's not even close, then that's your problem. Because, the amount of runs that the Yankees score, and when you look up and the Rays are hanging 9 on you, it's just not good enough.
Well, here's the interesting thing. You're going to have Garrett Cole. If there is a Game 5, you're going to have Garrett Cole. What are the Rays going to do? Are they going to put Blake Snell out there? Tyler Glasnow on 3 days rest? I can't imagine that. It would be all hands on deck. Do they start the game with the reliever? Do they do that if there is a Game 5? That's why, we all thought last night was pivotal. But if somehow the Yankees can win tonight, who are the Rays throwing out there in a Game 5?
Yeah, that's really interesting. And Glasnow, by the way, that would be 2 days rest.
2 days rest. They're not going to put him out there. Maybe they give him an inning or two.
Yeah, they could do that. Now, tonight's going to be a bullpen game for them. Ryan Thompson is an opener, so this is going to be a bullpen game for them. I tell you, I don't want to project negativity this morning for the Yankee fan. I'm not going to do that. I was positive about Tanaka and a win last night, and people could say I'm a jinx about that, whatever, but I just felt like Masahiro Tanaka was going to step up. If the Yankees go down to the Tampa Bay Rays in a bullpen game tonight, and they're out of the postseason, that is just the cherry on top of a complete disaster for them. It really is, because this is the stuff that they need. They need to bash in situations like this. You want to tell me that Charlie Morton was good, Tyler Glasnow was good, it's the postseason, the Rays won the division, fine. You can deal with that. If they get eliminated from the postseason with one of these Tampa Bay Rays, Kevin Cash matchup bullpen games, Brian Cashman is going to look lost. He's going to look like he doesn't know how to build a team anymore. That's what it's going to look like.
Well, it's also going to look like that decision to start the way they started Game 2 even more ridiculous. It's just
I've had opportunities though, man. This is where the Savages, the lineup, we can deal with the lack of starting pitching. We're going to mash. We're Aaron Judge. We're Giancarlo Stanton. That's where this has to come into play. You got a submariner right-hander and Ryan Thompson as an opener, and then the rest of the bullpen. If you don't put up double digits tonight, then you don't belong. Then you should go out. You got to give your guy a chance in Garrett Cole on short rest on Friday. You have to. This is it, man. You're really going to go out of the postseason like this? To the Rays, who own you this year? 8 out of 10 in the regular season, and then you're going to lose 3 out of 4 in the postseason to them, and the last game is a freaking bullpen game, and you're going to lose. The New York Yankees, the heavy favorites going into the season to win the World Series. The team that went out there and got Garrett Cole for $330 million. That team is going to go out to a bullpen game tonight. They better not. I tell you, they better not. That'll be the worst out of all these postseason losses in the last couple of years. This would be by far the worst. I don't care if it's a shortened season. This would be the most embarrassing.
Pitching. I got a question for you. And Mike Fleegs asked me this question about a half an hour ago.
Would you like some coffee?
Yeah, he asked me that question too. But no, he asked me the question for the region of Tampa Bay, okay? And think about tonight. You have a potential Tampa Bay clinching game over the Yankees to move on to the ALCS. And you also have Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing at the Chicago Bears. So regionally, in Tampa, they just won the Stanley Cup there, by the way. In Tampa, which gets the better rating?
The Bucs. Always the Bucks.
Even with all the Yankee fans down there in Tampa?
I think it's always the Bucks. It's always the NFL. It's always the Bucks.
What do you think, Al? I'm not talking
Bucks.
about national. I'm not talking about a national rating. I'm talking just about a regional rating in the Tampa, Fort Myers area.
I would say Bucks as well.
Really?
Man.
Yeah, just such a football state because of college football and the Bucks.
And they're playing well. You would have told me that Tom Brady and the Bucks got off to an 0-4 start. I would probably consider differently, but the fact that they've played well and are on a little bit of a winning streak and things are starting to move over there, I'm telling you, Thursday night game, they've been thinking about this since the win on Sunday. They're ready to go.
A Rays clinching game. Over
it's
not over
not the World Series.
It's not over the Houston Astros.
It's not the World Series, not the ALCS.
Yeah,
it's the ALDS.
It's over the New York Yankees. Where did the Yankees hold their spring training?
Yeah, Tampa Bay. I mean, yeah, we're disagreeing with you, but you're not going to change your opinion on it.
Okay, I'm just saying. I just asked you a question.
Yeah, I know. And you answered it. You didn't like the answer. I don't know what the hell you want from us. You want me to change the answer? It's weird when you do that.
Again.
You ask a question, you don't like the answer. We don't know the answer. We're just giving our opinion.
I asked you a question. I just want your opinion. I'm not fighting you on it. I just
you where do the Yankees hold their spring training?
So you're going by my voice inflections and putting words in my mouth again.
It's not the Astros. It's the Yankees. It's the Yankees. You leaned in. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, you might be right. Who the hell knows? I could give two bleeps less who in Tampa is watching what, quite frankly.
All right. I'm sorry about that. I was just asking you a question.
Care.
I mean, I know you don't care.
I really don't care who they're watching.
All right.
I care about if we're going to be watching more local baseball, because if we don't, we got nothing around here.
Right.
Nothing. That's what the bigger question is, what are we watching when the Yankees get eliminated? That is the question that I've been having anxiety. It kept me up last night, the entire night, as I'm going through the Netflix top 10 to see if there's anything on there that tickles the fancy.
Right, okay.
All right.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.